There is a space where you are all you need, where you are all you want. All there is here. Welcome to the Source Connection, conversations about who we truly are, the possibilities of creation and the new earth we are birthing, with your hosts, Tarah Long and Liz B.
Hey beauties, my name is Tarah. I'm here with my co-host called Liz, sometimes, most of the time. We have some new additions today before we get into our little meditation. We've got my new little puppy over here named Rocky. You can see he's a very good boy. He just stays still all the time. It's my placeholder until my real husky comes into my life. And then we have another new addition, which is Liz's hair, which, you guys, isn't it beautiful? Isn't it just magical and beautiful? And yeah, so let's all just take a moment and appreciate the beauty.
It's Liz Brogan or Kelly B.
It's Liz B. Liz Brogan B. Yes. Okay. All right, kids.
We love you, Kelly Brogan.
Yes, we love you.
My hair reminded me of yours today when I undid my French braids and I just left it.
And I think it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's settle in for a moment, dear ones. And we'll just have a nice, easy time together today, relaxing. Just nice and easy, just being really easy with yourself as you come here to this moment today with us and with yourself. Just finding a nice place to relax, a nice place to just be yourself. Just feel your breath moving in and out. In and out. Moving throughout your body. You feel the air filling up your lungs and filling up your abdomen all the way down. Nice round belly, soft and easy. Just bringing your awareness to a very simple mantra today. I am. That's it. I am. I exist. And as you let the world fall away around you for these moments, just feeling what remains, what's left when the world falls away, when your thoughts cease, even for just one moment. Can you sense what's there? What has been there all the while? I am. Not I am this or I am that. Just I am. No need to change anything. Just bring yourself back to I am. The sense of I exist. Can you feel the fullness of that? The fullness of you without having to add anything to the I am. Bring awareness to the breath again, remembering to breathe in and out, in and out. Feeling yourself in your body, sitting on the chair or lying in the bed or floor, wherever you are. Remembering the I am, knowing it is always here for you, just as you are. And when you're ready, you can move around a little bit and open the eyes. I don't know if you guys can hear the rain. It just started like pouring rain.
Summer rain, sweet summer rain.
Oh, I love summer rain when it's like warm and so good. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So,
are we having an anal party today?
We're having an anal party today, you guys. What the heck is that?
As we sometimes talk about topics to talk about, most of the time we just get here and we just open ourselves up to whatever is coming through, and it's alive for us. And every now and again, we'll talk about topics and what's coming up and what's alive, et cetera, before we record. And so last week, I was telling Tarah I was doing a parasitic cleanse, and we got to talk about all that stuff. And then we decided to do an episode on all things anal.
All things anal. Well, maybe not all things anal, but cleansing. Well, because I was also talking about doing which we've talked about a lot, doing coffee enemas.
Yep.
You know, which Liz and I have both done for years. And I got this new product from Hydrate, who we just had Mike on. So you guys will be introduced to him. But he and Dr. Berlando have a beautiful company called Hydrate. And I tried, because I've always just used organic coffee, like from the store. Regular organic coffee. And they have this product, coffee enema coffee, that is like green coffee, like beautifully clean, higher caffeine content, and also includes some herbs like dandelion to help to cleanse the liver. So I've had such amazing, cool benefits in my life with coffee enemas. So I thought, and people often either they're immediately turned off. So if that's you, you've already turned off the episode, and that's fine. So if you're still here, that's probably not you. And you're probably interested in what it is, what it means. So you may think, I'll never do that, and maybe you won't. That's fine. But why not have the option? Why not know about it and see if, maybe it could be something that could add benefit and pleasure to your life too.
And for you who at first was like, I don't know, but you're still here, just open yourself up and be curious. Yeah. More and more with the transition from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age, we're seeing more things just come to light, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly of everything is just surfacing. So our traditional healing practices that have been kept somewhat under the rug or not talked about too much because of taboo or fear of feeling inadequate or whatever thing. And here we are at this time where we are reconnecting with ancient practices and wisdom and all of that, and just bringing them to the forefront of how we navigate this world.
Yeah, it's just one more, beautiful permission slip to, cleanse the body and mind and spirit. And it may or may not be right for you, but stick around for a very surely entertaining conversation at the very least.
Let's talk about when you say permission slip. Tell our listeners, what do you mean by that? Because we have these conversations all the time, but maybe
we do.
They've never heard this term before.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. So when I say permission slip, it really means literally like you're giving yourself or your body or your mind or whatever a permission slip, right? We have all these beautiful natural healing products, supplements, just food, anything that we can think of that's more kind of in the physical realm, right? Like even a medication. We can say, well, it kind of goes along a little bit with like a placebo effect, right? Like it is a permission slip for our bodies, our minds, our souls, our spirits to upgrade. This is my personal belief. I worked as a acupuncturist for 15 years and Chinese herbalist and nutrition, and did all the health things and saw things work for people. And I saw the same things that didn't work for people. Right. So I know that, or I, at least in my experience, felt very much that it's so much more than what we do on the physical. Like that's it. That's basically the tip of the iceberg. It's the last place you're getting a message from your body, your spirit. And so when we do things to sort of correct, I'm doing air quotes, or manipulate any of our systems in the body, including a coffee enema, it's not something we need. I know that. I know that when our beautiful society has, I say what does fully awakened mean, right? Like, but when we have come to a place where we truly know ourselves and we truly know the power of who we are, we truly know that we are God or source or whatever word you want to use. And we really know that, but we also have embodied that. We just know, there's no doubt. We're not hooked in anymore to the conditioning and the, collective consciousness conditioning, that we will no longer need these things. That's really what it feels like to me on an intuitive level. And so way back when I was doing acupuncture for folks, and, I would, I guess, invite them into that world, right? Of you don't actually need any of these things, but they can be really helpful permission slips. It can give your mind and body and all the things a permission to do a certain thing, right? But I always just knew at my core, I'm like, self-healing. Our bodies are naturally self-healing. They naturally do what they need to do, regardless of, right? Even you could even go so far in a very extreme case to say someone who was absolutely knew who they were and the power of that, and just was walking around as this beautiful bright light, could potentially eat, say, McDonald's or something every day, and it wouldn't have an effect on them, right? Like I don't think that's very likely in our world because we have too much conditioning, we have too many environmental stuff. However, I think it's possible, unlikely, but possible. And so that's just an extreme example of what I'm talking about here. Like when we do something like a coffee enema. It really is a permission slip. But I happen to love permission slips when they feel good and aligned and right. And you can only know that the more tuned in you are, as we talk about here all the time, with so when you know yourself, and of course your body, but all the other parts of you too.
Yeah. I think of them as tools in my toolkit of things that can make my experience of life more balanced, more enlivened, shall I say. And so when you speak of, potentially not needing all of that, we're thinking about heaven on earth. We're thinking about the experience of full-on embodiment of our eternal selves here, which clearly we're not there yet. We're moving there towards that individually. When I say hopefully, I say individually, because I know that that's a choice for each and every one of us.
Yes.
And I know that a lot of us are moving towards that. And really knowing that we live in the field of infinite possibilities. So with that, anything is possible. Yeah. And while we're still here, we have found some pretty cool permission tools, and I do breath work as a permission tool because it helps me to remember still, who am I? What am I made out of? I just had an experience of running my first Spartan race. It was a 5K, 3-mile, 20 obstacle race. And it was so beautiful to notice the connection with my discipline and my daily practice of yoga and breath work. And I do run and do stairs and, do a few other things. That's not my core practice. And how much of that tool I was able to use in a complete different setting, because I was able to know myself enough to know when I would be pushing myself further to a place I hadn't met myself before, that I am capable, but I just hadn't allowed for myself to get there. And so when we start to integrate all these things, we start to become more centered in who we are. There's less and less that we need outside of ourselves. Now, you did mention environmental factors, and we're still subjected to what we eat and toxins and all of that. And so with that said, it is important, I believe, at this time to know yourself enough to know what you need and when you need it. To also not be used by things, but learn how to use things. And growing up, that was a common, we're talking about coffee enemas and just enemas in general. That was a common practice in my household that we didn't talk much about because it was very taboo. So my mother would say, don't tell anybody that we do this kind of stuff. We don't talk to people about this stuff. And so I remember just not too long ago, the first time I was able to tell somebody, like, have you tried doing a colon cleanse? And they were like, what is that? And so I had to go into the story, right? And it was like that. It was little by little freeing myself from the taboo of talking about these things. And naturally, our environment, and I'll talk about Tarah and I, our personal environment, it's much more conducive to this kind of conversations and talks and openness and curiosity. And so from that, I invite everyone to get a little more curious, be curious about life, be curious about what people do and why they do it. And it can be very different from what you believe or what you believe. But when we get curious, there's an openness and there's more space and there's more possibilities.
Yeah, that is the curiosity. I just did a words came out of me the other day, and the last sentence was, curiosity is our glimpse of eternity. Right. So when we can stay open and curious, then that land of infinite potential and possibilities is available. But when we're not, and we draw a conclusion and say, well, that's the way that is, that's it. There's no more availability for life. It's dead. Whatever that is, it's dead. There's no more aliveness there. So just staying open and curious. And even though I say, oh, we don't need any of these things, I do believe in my core that if and when we do walk around as the light beings that we are, we won't. But for now, I still do them because it gives me a lot, right? And so maybe we could start by talking about our own personal experiences and journey, specifically with the enemas, again, because it is still so taboo. And when something's taboo in any circle, I want to talk about it. I want to get in there. I just want to get in there and just really.
He wants to get in there.
I want to get in.
Anus.
Get into the anal.
Curiosity. I just wanted to point before we get into our personal experiences that curiosity breeds connection. The more curious we are, the more open we are, the more we extend ourselves out to knowledge and wisdom and thoughts and possibilities and people. And I think that we're living in such polarized world that if we could just take a step back when something triggers or comes at you from a different perspective or a hard thing, a hard concept, should just take a deep breath and say, oh, I wonder why. I wonder why this is being said. I wonder why this person is behaving like this. I wonder why they chose to do this. Whatever that is, if we can stay curious, we can stay open. If we can stay open, we are more available for connection. Yes. And I think that's a really important piece in the puzzle of our lives right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not feeling curious about something, like Liz said, you feel a trigger, you feel like, oh, that's a no or whatever, then it's an opportunity to be curious about that. Why am I reacting this way or responding this way? Yeah, why is this other person saying this? But why also am I feeling this way? You know, it's always a gold mine, you know, when we come up to like a wall that says, I don't want to be curious about this thing. No.
And sometimes go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, sometimes it's just a deep knowing or an intuition that that's a no for me. And that's different. That's not what I'm talking. That's like a firm no, that's not for me. I'm not doing that. Right. That's a different thing than a full like reaction of like, and even sometimes when that's a no for me, no, there can be resistance and there can still be fear underneath that no, even if it is a true no and you're absolutely not going to do that, right? Like we talk about in these times, like all the things that we say no to now that are a hell no for us, there still can be fear underneath that too. And
totally. And exploring that. And I was going to say, we can always hold strong convictions based on the experiences of life that we've had, the things that we have learned, what we have dedicated ourselves to exploring. And with that, there can be always a space that goes, what if I'm wrong? And having that layer there, I think allows for enough openness to have strong convictions, to know where you stand. And to always contemplate the possibility of it being different, because if we're all changing and shifting and growing and expanding, so are the things around us.
Yes.
Right. So there's always a possibility of that too, to expand and to shift and to harmonize.
Yeah. Yeah. Our world is not a fixed place.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about my journey with that. The concept to me that was presented to me when I was really young was, how do you clean your body? You take a shower, you rinse with water. And so it was the same idea of like, how do you clean internally? How do you support the cleansing of your internal system of elimination? In this case is what we're talking about. And so to me, it was just really easy to understand that it was just, again, a tool to assist in the cleansing, because we live in a toxic soup. Mm-hmm. Products we use for our hygiene, what we're eating, and I'm generalizing here.
Yeah, sure.
The air we're breathing, the water that we're drinking is very chemicalized, if that's even a word.
Yeah.
not only that, no, because of that, also, we've, as a species, have been blocking our eliminative systems, right? We've been kind of constricting them. And all of the pathways that we have to detox. I mean, people put deodorant to not sweat.
Yes.
You need to sweat. The body is doing what it needs to do.
Yes.
We put stuff on our face. It blocks our pores. So we have these systems that are perfectly in tune with what needs to happen. So we keep this balance. Yet with the conveniences of modern life, we've decided to not smell or not look natural in our faces. And then a lot of makeup, a lot of whatever stuff we put on those systems. We eat things that block our vessels and our pathways of, right? And we clog our filtration systems. And so it's one more way to assist in that process. So for you listening, if you never thought of what kind of deodorant you use, you can have deodorants now that can help with the smell of your natural odors, but won't block your sweat glands. So you can still sweat and your body can still do what it needs to do. Another important piece is, how do you hydrate yourself and where do you hydrate from? Yeah. So as Tommy says, no plain water. That's just one way of hydrating, but how much food that is alive that you're eating, right? That it's fresh, that hasn't been put in a can or in a plastic wrap or processed in any way, that also is helping to clear out and just to continue to move things through. So I think going back to this natural ways of living, of eating, of ingesting, of consuming will help. And, an enema or a colon cleanse, which is a little bit of a different process, is done with a different machine, will just assist in this toxicity that we live in.
Yeah.
And so, I've done them for a long time. And I will tell you one thing. If anyone is willing to try it out, go to maybe a colon hydrotherapist first. Get that experience done with somebody who can assist you through that process. Also be prepared for what some people call the healing crisis, because when you start cleansing like that, all your systems are going to take a break and they're going to start dumping toxins that may have been accumulated
for a long
in
time.
your body for a long time. So start slow, start with assistance, maybe have a support buddy to do it with, or to bounce back and forth, because things are going to come up. And the more you go through that process, the more you do it, the more you start clearing and understanding what's going on. So you start not taking things as personal, and you start understanding that when those symptoms come up, the body's not turning against you. The body's finally being able to release and purge things that have been accumulated. If we're talking about just chemical stuff, pharmaceutical stuff, they can be stored in our bodies for decades.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you do something like that and you start feeling real dizzy and you start feeling whatever thing, that could be those things being reintroduced into your circulation and causing those issues. So we need to find ways to continue to unblock and detox. And then, attached to that, there are liver cleanses and detox teas and all kinds of things, and fasts and all kinds of things that can assist in a process like that. But taking it slow, especially if it's new for you, taking it one step at a time, having a support system, starting with somebody who knows what they're doing to guide you through this process. And then eventually you can take this process and do it at home. There are people that do it every month, every week, even every day for periods of time to really clean their systems out.
Yeah, a lot of good information there. I will share my personal experience with it. So it was probably oh goodness, I don't know, however many years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, where I came across the Gerson Therapy. And the Max Gerson was a German doctor who basically was known for, curing cancer, or we could say curing cancer. People came to his clinic with cancer and they left without cancer. So whatever you want to call that. And a lot of stage 4 cancers and things like that. So that's where I first learned of coffee enemas. Now there is a Gerson center in Mexico that people go to, just putting it out there. If you, I think it's $10,000 for a 2-week stay at the Gerson Center. And they have something like crazy, like an 85 or 90% cure rate with cancer. I mean, it's incredible. So look it up if you're interested. Look it up. Do your own research. Of course, they're not allowed in the US for obvious reasons. And at that time, I was doing research. My best friend had breast cancer, and so I started doing a lot more research because she went the traditional route because she's more in that system, and I was researching and giving her all these tools, all this information, and did a research on chemotherapy, which is like, I'm going to give you just give you a statistic here. I know this is kind of off topic, but it's not really, because it's all about the body being in balance. So the people who get, and this is for, I think 99% of cancers, I think there's a few outliers, but for the most part, if one is in the traditional system of cancer therapy, you get chemotherapy and the radiation and all of that. And then people who make it to 5 more years, who live for 5 years after that, it's like 2-point-something% of people who live more than 5 years after they get chemo. So I'll just leave you with that. I mean, it is astonishing that we think that route is even, I mean, I just don't even have words for it. It's so mind-blowing that we think basically you're going to maybe have 5 years of life left if you do chemo. Like that's the statistic. I didn't make that up. You can do your own research again. So I'm leaving you there. So the Gerson therapy is not only coffee enemas, it's juicing, it's heavy juicing and different sort of, soups and things like that, and coffee enemas. And that's the bulk of it though. That's really because I read the whole book on the Gerson therapy. So the coffee enemas are done several times a day in that instance, right? Because you're going and it's an intensive period of detoxification and cleansing and getting your body back into, bringing the light back in. So I read that. And at the time I was still struggling with dis-ease in my body, having had, I think we've talked about it here before, the whole chronic fatigue syndrome thing, all of that. So I was like, okay, well, what else can I do to support my body right now? So that came, into my awareness. So I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't have support around it. I looked it up. I got all the materials that you need for that. I did the preparation in the Gerson Therapy book that I had, which was very good. I highly recommend it. It felt very safe for me. I didn't feel apprehensive. I mean, of course, the first time I did it a little bit, but I did it at home in the bathtub. That's what I did. And that's what I still do now. And I've never gone to a professional, colon therapist or gotten, that more intensive sort of thing. I've always done just the coffee enema. And I think I started with doing half chamomile tea and half coffee in the beginning, because and you can also just start with, water. And I mean, there's lots of different things you can do. So Liz and I, of course, aren't here recommending anything for you. We're just telling you about our experience, and then you can take it from there. Right. So, so I got my little home kit. I since have a newer one that I like better, that I just got, online. It's literally like a coffee enema kit, and it has all the things. It has all the different whatevers that you need. And then I used to use just the regular organic coffee, which was fine. There's no problem. Although coffees are like the dirtiest, like most toxic,
heavily pesticide,
like absolutely. You would not do this with regular coffee. Absolutely. It'd have to at the very least be organic coffee. And then if you wanted to, go a step further, you could look into some other products like the one that I mentioned at the beginning, the Alpha Vedic. So I just started that one, and I love it. So I'm just going to give you a little rundown of what happens when you do a coffee enema, just so you can get an idea of what it's like, right? So you're boiling the coffee or steeping it overnight. There's different methods, and there's directions. On my little coffee enema kit, it came with directions, and there's all kinds of different directions. But basically, that's the essence of it. You're boiling it, you're straining it, letting it cool to like room temperature. You're putting it in your coffee enema bucket. It's just usually like a little bucket that comes with a tube attached to it. And at the end of the tube, there's another little piece that goes in your butt. Yeah, an attachment. And I usually just put olive oil on the outside of that. We're getting real here, folks. So just so we're going for it. Because if it were me, I would want to know. I would want to know what this all entails, right? And so you put some olive oil on it, and then
or coconut oil.
Yeah, that's just what
a little oil that you like, and
just something that you like that you don't mind, going up the
old anus. That is edible. Let's just put it that way. That is edible.
Yes, you want to make sure that you can
not do chemical stuff. We're trying to
no chemical stuff.
Detox, not
yes. Right. We don't want to put anything in our butts that we wouldn't eat. That you wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
Okay. So you put that on the attachment. And for me, I put a towel in the bathtub and I lay on my right side. You want to lay on your right side because that's where your liver and gallbladder are, and the coffee goes. The idea is that you lay there for long enough, you hold it for long enough to where the coffee can go all the way up there and do a cycle of cleansing. About 12 minutes is what it takes for that. Now, in the beginning, I was never able to hold it for that long. Like, it's just, your body's like, what is going on? And there's kind of some overstimulation. Everybody's different. So it would be maybe 5 minutes or 6 minutes. But yeah, 12 to even 20 minutes if you can. And then, and you'll feel some, there could be some movement and maybe some cramping, and you're like, what? You just have to get used to the feeling of it. And then you release it and, sit on the toilet, release it, and then shower, and you're all done. And that was very simple. That was a simplified version of that. I just wanted to give you an idea of what that actually logistically looks like in your home to do.
I do it differently.
Tell me.
Ta-da!
Yay!
So the initial process is the same. What I'll say a little bit of the details. I cleanse with just water and a sparkle of salt or baking soda. And I do my left side first because that's where the end of your colon is. So that would get everything, all the debris, all the excrements that are there, AKA poop, out first. So whatever it's still lingering in there. So I would do, and I like warm water. I like the feeling. It helps to soften the stools. So I do my left side first.
And do you hold that for a while, or are you just?
No, it's just let it in.
And
as soon as it wants to come out, I let it out. I do my right side. Then I may do that a couple times. People, you will be surprised with the amount of stuff that comes out of your butt.
Yes.
It is believed that we hold between 5 to 10 pounds of, excrement in there, in the little cavities and little corners and things.
Yep.
And, some people actually have some real issues with that and need some further attention because they're eating such toxic diets and ingesting a lot of chemical stuff. Anyhow, so I do that a couple times on each side, starting with my left side because that's the easiest route out. Yep. Then right, left, right, and then I would do the coffee. And then that way I can hold it for long because I'm not feeling the urge to evacuate.
Yes.
And I like the coffee also warm. And you don't even need to start with coffee. You can just do the waters until you feel, okay, I got the system down. I got the movements. I got the timing or whatever thing. And then move into the coffee because, as Tarah said, you do want for it to sit there a while because you do want to extend its properties. to the other organs and to start the detoxification process there. So yeah, those are my 2 cents for the logistical stuff.
Yeah.
And I just my camera just tilted. And so the reason I said that if you do want to try this and you want to get it started, and it's totally new to you, start with somebody that already does that. So you get tips and you get insights and all that. If this is a conversation you've had before and you've been looking into it, by all means, do whatever suits you. And
do it
and just
right. Yeah.
As always, consult with yourself. Like know yourself enough to know where do you need to start, because it's not about what I think or Tarah thinks. It's about where are you in your journey and where do you need to start. And some people may want some guidance in that beginning from somebody else. And some people may be like, I got this. I'm going to try it out.
Yeah.
And so just listen to yourself.
Absolutely. As always, we're just inviting you into an option.
And can I say something really funny that I just thought too? Please. So in Portuguese, which is my mother language, we have a word. It's enfesado, which means when someone is grumpy. But it literally, when you break down that word, it means full of feces.
Enfesado.
Enfesado.
Full of shit.
Full of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. They're full of shit. Okay.
Yeah, but
which is making them grumpy.
But when we say full of shit here, it can mean something else. So
something else.
Literally full of feces, like full of poop. Yeah. Right. So also thinking about the more our internal environment, the more the toxic load in there, the more that's gonna mirror a certain behavior and also state of being, right? I mean, it's absolutely the relationship with yourself and everything. Yeah. So
think if there's just a bunch of stuff accumulated up there for years and years and years, and what and what the possibilities are for just giving your body a little, a little cleanse, a little break, a little
which also it's an opening and the start of something. And that's why it's important to be aware of that, because other things will start to shift and they will feel the decompression and they will feel the need to start releasing, because all of a sudden the pathways open up. And so to me, that's one of the most important points, because what we call, or some people call, a healing crisis, it's nothing but the body finally being able to release. And so how do you find assistance? Because it's going to be emotional, it's going to be mental, it's going to be physical, it's going to be happening on various different levels. So stuff will come up. And I think that's a really important point to make.
I think so too. Yeah. It's not just poop coming out of your body. It's all these other things that are going to be, that are going to be coming out too. Metaphorical poop that's been in your body.
Just
for
toxicity, mental, emotional, physical, energetic. And
so being ready for that, or being aware that could happen, not expecting it, because maybe it doesn't, but it could, and staying hydrated, like we talked about before, especially on that day, just making sure that you're letting your body move those things out.
Staying supported through that, journaling, noticing, having a friend to talk to, and not taking things personal. So you can be like, oh, I'm in a process here. I mean, I'm going through something. I'm moving through something.
Yes. Because you're moving, you're creating movement.
Yeah.
In your body and in your life potentially. And who knows what else could come from what could seem simple. But so just, of course, there's a lot of different benefits, that you can also look up, and they're going to be different for everybody, and the benefits of detoxification are endless. But I have to say that the days that I do my coffee enemas, I always feel really good. And because I don't drink coffee this way ever, but having that caffeine in the body, I'm not used to that. And so I definitely, because it's a different delivery system, it's, going in the other way, but it is being absorbed right by your body. And so it's not just the caffeine. I know it's not just the caffeine, but there is a sense of clarity, or just like a brightness that I feel on those days. And then there's a ton of other benefits too. So
Yeah,
just have to see what happens for you.
Yeah, a lightness of being, more just more spark in my step.
Yeah.
Because I feel lighter, right?
Yes.
There's an unload. And so with that, there's a lift and a clarity also that comes with it. So
that's it. Clarity. Yeah.
Feel free to ask us questions, and we love hearing from you. And so don't be shy. We won't reveal names.
No, you're free to ask us. Yeah. And we also have an Instagram now. So you can find us on IG at The Source Connection, and you can DM us there. You can find us on our website. Our email is connect@thesourceconnection.us. And we're here. We're here for you. So, and let us know if you try it, what happens, how you feel. All the things.
If you haven't yet, go subscribe to our list at thesourceconnection.us, and we'll send you the manifesto that we wrote to activate you in this very extraordinary times.
Yes. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.